Memory. Most of us never give it a second thought. All the essential facts and associations that make up who you are. Your mother's name, the street where you grew up, the job you will go to tomorrow. But what about a world where large pieces of your memory simply disappear? Where because of injury, disease, or a traumatic experience, part of your past, or even the present, is lost. You will enter that mysterious world tonight, a world of those who say, I can't remember.
Once in a while, won't you try to give one little thought for me? Though someone else may be near to your heart.
It's an old love song from the 1930s with a haunting lyric about the past and about our memories of better times.
I know that I'll be contented with yesterday's memories, knowing you think of me once in a while.
Yesterday's memory is about all Bessie can count on these days. About 10 years ago, she had a stroke, and now she can't remember anything from one minute to the next.
And where you from?
I'm the music therapist here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it's nice to see you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I think we've met a few times.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How many times have you two met?
Probably at least once a week, if not more.
For how long?
For maybe a year or two. Every minute is like a new minute. And every time she sees me, it's like she never saw me before.
Bessie is living, breathing proof that memories are all we really own. She's a patient at Beth Abraham Hospital in the Bronx. This is her permanent home, but she doesn't know that. She hasn't had a job in years, but she doesn't know that either. She is, in the words of her favorite song, content with yesterday's memories.
All right. What kind of work did you do before you retired?
I'm not retired yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
What?
I wish.
You wish you were.
But I'm still
what
an
kind of work you
operator.
do?
I'm an operator.
For what?
On menswear pants, the better line.
And you go to work every day?
Uh-huh.
So singing right now is sort of like a hobby?
Yeah. Your goodbye.
Someone once said that memories are tombs of buried hopes. Listen to what hopes Bessie has locked away in her memory.
I am determined to go into show business.
Full
Show
time?
business, full time with singing. That's what I want.
Right on the stage?
That's right.
Live
in the
audience.
middle of the stage. I'm determined to do it.
What's your biggest dream? Where would you want to play?
I will start in New York because my family's here in New York. I know once I start traveling, I won't be here much and they won't see much of me.
Did you ever meet me before?
I don't think so.
Do
The
I look
face is
familiar?
not familiar.
No?
No. Where did we meet before?
Well, we just met about a minute ago.
Oh, well, no, I don't know you then. But it's nice to meet
It's
you.
nice to meet you.
Once in a while.
But if she can't remember anything from one minute to the next, how can she remember all the words to songs that were written a half-century ago? In a way, you're listening to the answer. It's the music itself, the power of the music to move a patient emotionally, and that, somehow, stimulates the memory. Connie Tomeno, the music therapist, says through music, she can reach the lost personalities inside of her patients.
How is it that music touches off a memory from 50, 60 years ago, and someone like Bessie meets you every 10 seconds, she's meeting you for the first time?
It seems that with memory loss that people are unable to encode new information. So everything that they do each second just becomes that. It has to be redone over and over again because they have no memory from second to second of what just happened. There's no way to store it. The information that becomes the most important are the past memories that are very well preserved.
So
But it helps
what does music do?
But it's still stimulating. So she's thinking, she's remembering, she's activating those parts of her brain that are still functioning. because if they're not activated, then she'll continue to regress. There'll be a progressive dementia there.
So without music, she might even
yeah.
forget the little that she knows?
Absolutely.
Connie Tomeno is studying the magic of music and memory with Oliver Sacks, the neurologist who wrote Awakenings, which Hollywood turned into a movie starring Robin Williams.
I think music is essentially emotional, though not just emotional, and one sees very clearly with people who have amnesia that the stronger the emotional stimulus, the better the memory. In a sense, I think this is magical. You see frozen people who can suddenly move and dance. You see amnesic people who can suddenly remember and sort of come to emotionally.
There you go.
Maurice can barely walk. He is suffering from dementia. In his mind, it is 1945, World War II, and he's in a veterans hospital, recovering from an enemy bullet.
You were shot how long ago?
About, I said, 2 months.
2 months ago.
Yes, because
Maurice used to love to dance. Remember, now he can hardly walk. But look at what happens when the music starts.
He can't recall it independently to say, now I'm going to dance, and just get up and dance. He needs the music to bring him from the point of thinking about moving to actually doing it.
The music helps him remember how to move
And how to dance.
and how to dance, but otherwise he can't walk across the room.
Exactly.
Maurice is stuck in the 1940s. Gary, as his doctor has said, is marooned in the 60s. A brain tumor left him with virtually no memory of events past 1970.
How about John Lennon?
He's with Yoko Ono. They're still making music together.
And there's something else unusual about Gary's memory.
I notice you're wearing glasses.
Yes.
Do you have trouble seeing?
Yes, I'm very nearsighted.
Nearsighted.
Yeah, like Mr. Magoo, you know? And the nearsighted Mr. Magoo.
Right. But you can see the doctor and all.
Yes.
But that's not true. Gary cannot see his doctor or anything else. He's blind, and he doesn't know it.
What is that about?
He has no memory of being a blind person. His only memory of himself is as a sighted person. His identity for himself is still as a sighted person. He was a sighted person in the 1960s.
But he can't see.
He somehow sort of imagines that he can. He doesn't think about terribly much. I think this is part of his disorder, that he partly needs stimulus from outside.
And for Gary, as with the others, the stimulus, yes, is music.
What's the hope of music therapy?
To animate him, and I don't mean to give him a good time, to enable him to interact with other people, because he can share music with other people.
Today, they're all sharing music with other people. This is a very big day at Beth Abraham.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our resident talent show at Beth Abraham.
The talented Miss Bessie Young. Come on, Bessie. You gonna sing for me?
Yes, but why didn't you ask me before? I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me.
It's still a mystery precisely how music and memory work. It just seems to work.
I'm in the mood for love.
Thank you.
I think music addresses the you, it addresses the person. It doesn't just address some system in the brain, but it addresses the internal person who wills and moves and remembers and desires and feels and thinks. I think in this sense, sort of music calls to you.
A playwright once said that God gave us memory that we might have roses in December. This is Bessie's rose, her music. But her December doesn't come just once in a while. For Bessie, December never goes away.
Memories, knowing you'll think of me once in a while. Thank you.
You're good.
Knowing you'll think of me once in a while.
At Acura, we believe that a luxury sedan should appeal to a driver's appreciation of soft leather, fine wood, and beautiful stretches of asphalt. The Acura Legend sedan.
What's so great about the Ocean Spray Cranberry? Perhaps we could put it this way.
Bow, 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 hoodoo, higga, bow, 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 hoodoo, higga, bow,
Ocean Spray Cran drinks. It's amazing what a little cran can do.
bow, 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 hoodoo.
Of all the things around your house that need batteries, there's one thing that needs a good, fresh battery most of all. See your Allstate agent for a free home fire safety brochure. And please check the battery in your smoke detector often.
I never saw anything like it.
Grapevine, it's all about romance.
Can I buy you lunch?
I don't eat lunch.
Boy meets girl.
I don't make a good first impression.
Boy keeps trying.
Just leave me alone, okay?
Boy wins girl.
My head was spinning.
Boy loses girl.
Don't ever, ever embarrass me like that again.
Girl's husband finds out.
Hi.
I think I'm in love with you.
What was that about?
It's about gossip. It's about secrets.
It's about comedy.
It's Grapevine after Murphy Brown and before Northern Exposure Monday. Celebrate the longest-running show on television with some of your favorite stars.
We need to talk.
The Guiding Light Primetime Special. Then, based on the shocking true stories of marriages with secret loves and secret sins. So scandalous, yet so true. Secret lives of husbands and wives after the Guiding Light Primetime Special Friday. From Oliver Stone.
You are ashamed of me!
Winner of 4 Academy Awards, Tom Cruise stars in Born on the 4th of July, Saturday.
During the time that I was growing up, I didn't have any conscious knowledge of what had happened to me. I think that I looked happy outwardly a lot of the time, but inwardly I was carrying around a terrible secret. At that age and at that time, I didn't really know what the bad thing was.
Rebecca Howland says that while she was living in this house, from the time she was 3 until 13 years of age, something so terrible and painful happened to her that she buried the memory, and buried it so deeply that she didn't remember any of it until 20 years later.
I'd also always remembered walking to school on crutches and that my hip had hurt, but I didn't remember what had caused the pain in my hip.
When the memories came back, what had caused the pain in your hip?
Sexual intercourse with my father.
Rebecca says that 4 years ago, at age 35, while she was undergoing psychotherapy, the first of many memories began to surface.
Yes, I would see my father and myself.
Memories of being emotionally and sexually abused by her father.
One of the first things I started to remember was that we had chickens, and my father would cut the heads of the chickens off in the backyard and let them run around the backyard spurting blood.
Yes. We raised chickens, and we killed them by axing off their heads.
Rebecca's father, Jim Howland, confirms at least that part of the memory.
Subsequently, I remembered a scene where my father put my body on top of his on a bed and moved my body up and down over his pelvis, and then tossed me off to the floor and told me that bad girls get their heads chopped off.
Did that happen?
No.
These are so detailed. You know, how could she just come up with something like that?
Have you ever read a novel and you find detail in a novel? You think if anything is detailed, it has to be truth?
I feel certain that these events essentially occurred.
Rebecca's accusations have torn her family apart.
This is the wedding picture of
her parents are now divorced. Her brothers divided.
My sister says it happened.
Her brother Peter.
And I believe her.
No, sure don't.
Her oldest brother Jim.
Some of the things that she has remembered.
Her brother Roger.
And it's like
you couldn't dream them up.
I remember about 20 different incidents where there are specific scenes, specific details, and specific acts of what had occurred.
The repressed memories are, in general, more reliable than incidental things that are forgotten.
Dr. Rollin Summit, a psychiatrist, treats sexually abused children.
It's not only Rebecca Howland, it's thousands of people. 60% of people now in treatment for sexual assault in their childhood did not remember it during a period of their lives.
I think there are serious questions about the authenticity of repressed memories.
Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus is a memory expert.
There are very few cases that have good, clear, cogent corroboration that could allow you to know that the memory is truly authentic.
Rebecca, herself a psychiatrist, had her doubts too.
At every point where I had the opportunity to check out some part of the memory, I was able to gain some validation that what I remembered was actually accurate. I've always kind of remembered walking to school on crutches, that had occurred.
Remember Rebecca's crutches story?
I was walking to school and I remembered seeing my sister across the street with a girlfriend walking on crutches.
Neither Roger nor Peter actually witnessed any sexual abuse. But what they do remember seems to fit Rebecca's story.
I think my mom mentioned her hip hurts, and at the time, it was, it seemed odd.
Somebody says, I remember when her hip was hurting and there was no explanation for it. That doesn't seem very cogent to me as corroborating evidence.
Only after the repressed memories came back did I remember the actual acts of sexual intercourse with my father. I remember what it was like. I remember what I thought about while he was doing it. I remember that it hurt my hip.
Is it possible that someone could truly believe they were sexually abused, have memories of sexual abuse, and have it not happen at all?
It's possible, yes, especially when they're looking for an explanation for their problems.
It was while she was in therapy that these things started to come out. It could have been suggestions from her therapist. And there's many, many reported cases where therapists have created the situation.
The therapist I was seeing when this all evolved had never suggested to me I was sexually abused, had never even asked me if I had been sexually abused. That could happen. That did not happen to me.
But something else did happen to her. Something else the experts say could have influenced her memories.
In addition to my father, I was also molested by my older brother, Jim.
I'm not going to go into that.
It was very minimal degree of touching each other's body on a couple of occasions. It was also something I've always remembered.
Is it possible that your sister is mistaking the relationship she had with you when she was growing up and turning the accusation on her dad?
That's not possible. That's what happened. I mean, any activity me and my sister had or any relations that we had, she has mixed up with that.
No. The memories that I have of my father are of my father. They're of a grown man. There's no question in my mind that there's any confusion at all between my father and my brother.
I have never touched that girl in a sexual way, not rubbing her on my body.
What began as a family matter is now a court battle.
One important thing for me was to hold my father accountable.
Rebecca sued her father under a new California law that allows victims of sex abuse to go to civil court once they remember the abuse.
How do you prove your innocence? How can you prove it didn't happen?
The jury believed
they occurred, and they occurred by my father.
Rebecca. Her father was ordered to pay $500,000 in damages.
Jurors cannot change the truth. They can render a verdict.
He is appealing.
It doesn't matter that he says it didn't happen. I know what happened to me, and that's what's really important.
Only 2 American-made luxury automobiles provide both driver and passenger side airbags. One of them is a Lincoln. And the other one is a Lincoln. With Lincoln, it's easy to be on the safe side. Lincoln, what a luxury car should be.
I really enjoyed designing my new collection. The fabrics and the patterns work together to make everything fun to wear. Kmart's fashion, and not just my line, is making a lot of people take another look. Look at the embroidery, feel the fabric, then look at the price. When you know what to look for, Kmart looks very good. I'm not interested in designing clothes only a few women can afford. I like the idea that I can bring quality fashion to everybody. Kmart has the perfect combination for the 90s. High quality, low price. Makes perfect sense to me.
Everybody needs some
$12 for every mile over the limit.
That's $300.
You can add fast, too. Next.
To send someone money fast, call 1-800-CALL-CASH or come to any Western Union location. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
If you have fine or thinning hair, a heavy hairspray can plaster it down so it looks like you have even less. But Consor's Special Light Spray doesn't weigh hair down, so your hair looks fuller as it holds all day. Consor, the fine mist for fine hair.
He's a man of mystery.
There are 8 things on this table you can use to kill me. 13.
A man of honor.
You'll be okay, Rooney.
No, I killed him. A man in search of his son before a clan of killers finds him first.
You've awakened just in time to die.
By you talking me to death?
But to criminals, he's a fatal affliction.
You got some kind of deadly disease? I am some kind of deadly disease. I have always wanted to say something like that.
Coming June 24th, Raven.
Toxic waste, endangered wildlife, saving the rainforest. What do they mean to you? Call in and speak out. Eye on the Earth, a special town meeting tonight.
Friday, let us take you on an adventure for the whole family. Meet your dad's Chelsea Hertford and Who's the Boss's Danny Pintaro join John Forsythe for the Busch Gardens SeaWorld Summer Safari.
Sunday, a young drifter with a hidden past
You're an ex-con.
is accused of murder.
There are pieces of this puzzle that just don't seem to fit.
Murder, she wrote. Then, she had the perfect family, or so it seemed. She was married to the perfect man, or so she thought.
Never again will you hurt me.
Lindsay Wagner, Shattered Dreams. Bodies of Evidence on CBS's new summer season premieres June 18th.
I know the books of the Bible. Yeah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth.
She's intelligent.
1 Samuels, 2 Samuels, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2
And she can remember things that many of us can't.
Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes.
But at 34 years old, Pam Smith has amnesia.
Micah, Nahum, Zechariah, and Zephaniah.
That's good.
Can you do the books of the Bible?
Not that well.
She was forced to move back with her parents in Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Where are we headed here now?
Now I'm going to show you. This is the secret way into my room downstairs.
Pam was just starting a small business 11 years ago when she had a severe asthma attack.
From that end of the house to this end belongs to me.
She went into a coma, lost oxygen to the brain, and lost her short-term memory.
Come on in here.
Okay.
The ability to remember new things was gone.
There's a small bathroom over there, so I don't have to go upstairs unless I want to. I have a refrigerator somewhere, too.
Now she is, in effect, frozen in time, permanently sentenced to life in the present.
I do have a refrigerator. I knew it.
Uh-huh. You had to think for a minute.
I know. Like many people suffering from amnesia, Pam's memory of things learned before her illness is okay.
Now, driving, is this anything about driving that you have to stop and think about?
Well, I remember how to drive. I remember how to operate my vehicle. I don't have any problems there.
Well, you're zooming along at 50 miles an hour here in a 40 zone, so you don't pay any attention to these signs, huh?
No. What signs? I don't remember what they say. I guess forgetting what the speed limit is. I guess that's my biggest problem.
I'm just tired of being stupid. They said I'm not stupid. I just don't have any memory, which to me puts me in the same category. Pam meets regularly in Boston with John and other victims of amnesia.
Everybody here has a memory problem. Now,
The causes of their amnesia are as diverse as the group itself.
I was 11 years old and it happened to me, so...
Rye syndrome caused Tricia's memory loss. She works for a bank now and is the only member of the group to have a job.
What movie did you see? Well, oh, geez, I'm not really sure. You look like, I can't really remember, but it was good. They said, well, did you have a good time, you know? You feel stupid.
Right.
I feel like people label you out. You're a dumb blonde, you know, just, oh, she's ditzy.
The difficult thing I find is that I don't talk with people very much.
Paul's memory loss came from a lack of oxygen to his brain during a heart attack and ended his career as an eye surgeon.
I used to be a very talkative person. I used to talk about everything in the world. because I used to know a lot. With my memory loss, I've forgotten most of what I knew, and I find it very difficult to talk to people now.
I can't remember recent things at all. I can't remember this morning.
Debbie was a nurse with a graduate degree from Harvard. Encephalitis caused her amnesia.
I think a normal person remembers what happened in the morning.
Even though the group has been meeting for the last 2 years, people forget each other's names. One member, Tom, keeps a snapshot of the group to help him. Still have to look at that to remember the names?
Yes.
What patients do remember is that they're not alone in the world.
Dr. Margaret O'Connor supervises the meetings of the support group.
And that may seem like nothing to you or I, but people who are adjusting to amnesia have a very nightmarish experience of feeling completely abnormal and completely alienated from their family, peers, and any sort of social life.
It just happens. You want to think about something or remember something, and it's gone. You don't sit there and think, oh, I can't remember. You just try to remember something, and it's not there. The cupboard's bare.
There is no cure for amnesia. Researchers are years from developing a drug to treat memory loss. Meanwhile, the victims wait.
Still ahead on 48 Hours.
Are you having some flashbacks now? A little
It was a night Connie could never forget.
And then he takes his foot, and I feel him kick my shoulder back.
You'll see her try.
You can sit down, Mr. Nelson, Miss Murphy, Mr. Herbison, Mr. McDonough.
And if you'd like to improve your memory,
Mr. and Mrs. Dean.
He says he's got the secret.
The spelling, Mr. Began.
If you think all real estate organizations are alike, there's something you should know. In a nationwide survey, homeowners were asked which real estate organization they think could do the most to help you sell your home. And the name that came up most often was Century 21, by a very big margin, 5-1. Shouldn't you have the one that's head and shoulders above the rest? Century 21.
The Brooker boys are here on tour. What's been the highlight of your Lake Edna stop, Matt?
I'd say this new honey barbecued chicken, Russ. Fried chicken glazed in a special sauce with a touch of honey. Get 2 pieces with baked beans, coleslaw, and a biscuit in a roundup meal for just $2.99.
Woo-wee! That was completely unsolicited.
The 2-piece honey barbecue roundup meal, just $2.99, or the 8-piece meal, just $9.99 for a limited time in Lake Edna or your neck of the woods.
And that brain's fairly swollen.
48 Hours will continue.
This is CBS.
2 things you can still do with $5 a day. Fight dandruff. Or lease a Honda Accord LX for 24 months for only $149 a month.
Never take the last cookie.
Never cross your eyes.
Never.
They'll get stuck.
Never go to bed angry.
Never.
Never. Never. Never ask what's in a hot dog.
Never eat anything bigger than your head.
Never forget who loves you.
Never.
Never pay full price.
Never pay full price.
Marshalls. That is a law.
Channel 2 News Watch, sponsored by the New York Stock Exchange.
Coming up at 11, there may be a break in the bus strike. We'll have the very latest on that for you. Plus, a huge gas leak forces evacuations in our area. We'll tell you just what happened. And Mary Jo Buttafuoco speaks for the first time about being the victim in Long Island's near-fatal attraction case. We'll have it.
Plus, a hidden camera catches an unlikely thief, the wife of former Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega. And frightening news about how much your health is affected by someone else's cigarette. Join us at 11.
Imagine a company where nothing goes on behind closed doors, where each and every negotiation takes place right out in the open. A company that sets the standard for fairness in its industry by monitoring and instantly publicizing every single transaction. You'd probably want to do business with a company like that. You probably already do. The New York Stock Exchange. Not just a place, a way of doing business.
A dirty secret inside the Boy Scouts organization. Watch Inside Edition.
I had every light on in the house and outside the house, 24 hours a day. I never used the garbage disposal because it was too noisy. People had to sit on the bed and watch me until I fell asleep.
Connie Peretti's problem wasn't that she could not remember, it was that she could not forget.
This is exactly what I did. I would go along the walls. My back, this is my behavior. This is what I used to do. And going up a flight of stairs for me, especially if the room was dark.
3 years ago, Connie was brutally beaten and almost raped in an underground parking garage in the Philadelphia area. Ever since, she has lived in terror.
Shadows were tough. My own shadow is the hardest. When I walk through the house and the lights are on at night and
There's your shadow.
That would have put me into a state of panic.
Many people think the way you deal with the painful memory of a traumatic experience is leave it behind you. Don't dwell on it, forget about it. But a new treatment called implosion therapy says you have to remember it. You have to relive it again and again.
I think what would be good, if it's okay, with you, is that first we do the imagery, okay? Re-experiencing the assault. And
Psychologist Constance Dansu has been treating Connie for the last 4 months at the Medical College of Pennsylvania.
just a reminder to keep it in the present.
Guided by Dansu, Connie returns to the night of the attack.
Okay. It's June 15th, 1989. I've just finished an overtime assignment at work. I've come down to the lobby. I'm walking over to the elevator to go down into the parking garage. And as I'm approaching the area where my car is parked, I'm hesitating for a split second. I'm thinking, something isn't right. This man is appearing. He's jumping out of somewhere he's been hiding. He's a very tall man. He has a stocking over his face. I'm very scared.
Dansu says Connie, like some war veterans, experienced post-traumatic stress disorder. She became crippled by the memory.
What happens is that people try to push it down, they try to push it away, and it doesn't happen. It comes back up in the form of nightmares, flashbacks, recollections that are very distressing.
The blows are getting harder and harder to my shoulder now, and it's really hurting me.
Can you feel the pain now?
I can feel it. And I want him to stop. I want someone to come and make him stop. And I keep screaming for help. And then he takes his foot, and I feel him kick my shoulder back. And the pain is burning pain.
The toughest part about it was that she was a completely different person than I grew up knowing. I mean, completely personality, everything changed.
Connie's daughter, Randy.
She appeared weak to me, which was very tough for me to deal with because my mother was this very strong life force for me and a protector. And here was this woman who was crumbling.
And I can feel myself going unconscious. And in that state, I'm seeing my daughter to my left. In my mind, I'm seeing her in the garage. Only she's a little girl. And she's crying, "Mommy, Mommy, get up, Mommy. Don't leave me, Mommy." And I wake up, and I can't focus my eyes, and I realize then that something's wrong with me physically, and I try to lift my head up, and I feel he's touching me under my dress, and I want to just make him stop.
Okay, you're doing fine now. Just stay with it.
And I scream as loud as I possibly can, and he's annoyed with me, And he hesitates, and he lets go of me. And he turns and he climbs over the guardrail, and he walks away.
Okay. What I want you to do now is to start at the beginning again.
Not again.
Mm-hmm. Can you try it one more time, just so that your levels go in?
Again?
She tells you the story, terrible story, and then you say, okay, let's do it again.
That's right.
It sounds like you're being cruel.
It could sound that way, but when we can get the person to that point that they can have memories about the assault and it isn't so upsetting to them, then they can go on with their life.
It's the appearance of the pillars, the concrete.
To remind you where the assault took place.
The road to recovery is now taking Connie to places she has feared the most, like this parking garage.
Are you having some flashbacks now?
A little bit.
Some images? Okay.
Okay.
What is the prognosis for Constance?
She has worked very hard. She understands now why she was having the symptoms. She understands now what she can do to cope with the problems. And I see no reason why she shouldn't continue to get better and better.
I want to let go of this and leave it here. And I don't ever want it again.
Starting this Friday at McDonald's, you can get Batman Returns on a dramatic series of superheroic collector cups, topped off with flying crispy bat disc lids straight from the movie. Because what you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
He's got a 5-iron. No, it's the Groomin' Edge from Black & Decker. He clears the rough, now with a twist. He edges the bunker. Oh, what a shot. He grooms. He edges. The Black & Decker Groomin' Edge, the trimmer, with a competitive edge.
Each year, corporate America spends over $10 billion on overnight shipping. Yet according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, $3 billion of that is wasted. If you find that kind of inefficiency alarming, call UPS. We can save you up to 40% on overnight deliveries and help prevent your profits from going up in smoke. UPS. We run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
What's most important to you?
My wife. We've been married for 31 years.
32. Definitely these guys. What's most important? Jack, of course.
My granddaughter, Susan. The new Ford Crown Victoria now offers anti-lock brakes with traction assist and dual airbags. Because shouldn't your car know what's important to you?
Have you driven a Ford lately?
It's enough to make you want to give up breathing. Before you can cut to the chase in L.A., you first have to cut through the smog, and people are trying. Eye on the Earth on the CBS Evening News tomorrow.
Sheila has already stolen one woman's husband. Is she after another?
You don't appreciate your husband, and you don't deserve him.
Watch out, Brooke.
Sheila Carter is one name you're never gonna forget.
Sheila is making plans on the bold and the beautiful.
Thursday, a victim fights for her life against a rapist as a cop races to save her.
I knew the woman was close to dying. I had to stop him right then and there.
Top Cops.
It's the one great secret in the whole world. It's really the only great secret that's lasted for 20 years.
In 1972, a third-rate burglary led to the downfall of the president. Today, the biggest question still remains. Mike Wallace reveals Watergate, the secret story, next Wednesday at 9.
I found a good throwing rock.
I would like to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm a 36-year-old male, and my name is Raymond Franklin.
Here you go. Oh, nice toss.
I'm happily married to a wonderful woman, Joanne.
He is very adamant that should he completely lose his memory, that living isn't worth it.
We live in central New Hampshire with our 2 children, Matthew, 4 years, Abigail, 1.5 years. Our lives are not unusual, except perhaps in our happiness with our family and home.
In 3 days, Ray Franklin will undergo brain surgery.
He's written his own letter of introduction to the nurses and doctors.
I am comfortable at a bench in a wood shop, but not in a bed in a hospital.
With his wife, Joanne, he's discussed the risks, which include death or permanent, profound memory loss.
There have been so many other decisions to make and things to prepare for. In a way, death, I guess, has been easier for us to talk about than a complete memory loss on his part. If he's reduced to that, then he's reduced to nothing, and he doesn't want to be around here. I guess he wants me to put him in an institution, but he doesn't want us taking care of him.
The problem is an irregular formation of blood vessels near the memory center of the brain that could hemorrhage at any moment.
She's a beauty. My last day with you guys for a while. I've got what is called an AVM, which is an arterial venous malformation. A hemorrhage of that vascular bundle is very dangerous. It's happened a couple times in my lifetime, and it is predicted to happen again. So the decision was made to take it out. It's not just me any longer waiting for this time bomb to drop.
You're going to feel some pushing, Raymond, right now.
At the Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center,
You turn your head to the right again.
surgeons begin the delicate process of getting Ray ready for the operation later this week. See that little wire? That's a catheter being pushed up into Ray's brain with tiny objects that will be left to block or reduce the blood flow.
Back up a little bit.
The surgical team makes it look so routine, but
the next 3 or 4 days are going to be among the riskiest days of Ray's life.
Dr. Robert Harbach, Ray's neurosurgeon, watches. He'll be performing Ray's operation.
There's a lot of blood going through that artery. Coil is going now. It's going to stop the blood flow.
You are cutting off the blood that has been going into this malformation.
Right. Cut off a portion of the blood supply to the malformation. The more that can be done angiographically, the safer the surgery will be. Everything's going real well, Ray. There's one of the coils in where we want it, so that's a plus. They're going to put something.
On the eve of the big operation, Dr. Harbach meets with Ray and Joanne.
The risks of the surgery are the big worry. I mean, you could die during the surgery, be left with a coma or a paralysis or an inability to speak, inability to incorporate new memories. The big worry that a lot of people have in this kind of situation is what happens if you can no longer make decisions.
At some point, he's going to have to trust us that we'll do what's best for him.
Yeah.
We haven't resolved that issue.
Thanks.
And hopefully we won't have to, so we're just kind of putting it aside.
See you later.
See you later.
You see the red veins? We found more red veins than we need. Let me have the diamond knife. I guess going right into the nidus in there. The front part of this malformation is right up in the area of the temporal lobe that's important for memory function. I said there's another good-sized feeding vessel there.
Hello? Okay, we'll just wait for another couple hours for another update, huh?
The difficulty is that there are still a number of large veins that we don't feel secure in taking right now.
Shakes. And that brain's fairly swollen, you know. Irrigation?
There's a complication, too much bleeding. Doctor, it's been a long day. It's suddenly stopping. Why?
The decision at this point is to stop and come back at a later date and remove any of the malformation that's left. He's been in the surgery for about 10 hours, has been under an anesthetic for longer than that. The brain is starting to look a bit swollen. The concern is that by persisting at this point, we'd give him a permanent neurological deficit.
Surgery's on longer.
We've dissected maybe 80 to 85% of the malformation.
Ray, squeeze my hand here.
If we'd been able to keep going and take it out and not hurt him, that would be better for him. It's a judgment call, but I was happy with the way today went. Hey, Ray, your surgery's all done. Everything went okay.
2 weeks later, we met with Ray.
Boy, it feels good to be out of the hospital.
He's recovering well, but still feeling the temporary effects of the surgery.
Mental sharpness is still a little ways away. I've been an avid reader all my life, and right now I can't really read.
In a few days, he'll need to complete the surgery, and Ray will be faced once again with the same risks.
Now, hopefully, we really can see the very end of the tunnel, and one more go-around, and we'll be on the last road and put it all behind us.
Yeah.
Next at 11, waiting for the air to clear after a huge gas leak forces people from their homes. We'll have the very latest.
Also, the woman wounded in Long Island's so-called near-fatal attraction case speaks out. And there may be a break in the bus strike. We'll tell you if your commute will be cleared up for tomorrow morning. Join us tonight at 11 o'clock.
Of all the things around your house that need batteries, there's one thing that needs a good, fresh battery most of all. See your Allstate agent for a free home fire safety brochure. And please check the battery in your smoke detector often.
This Father's Day, give him the revolutionary Gillette Sensor. The best a dad can get.
With VCR Plus, anyone can program their VCR in one easy step. Just punch in the Plus code numbers from your TV listing. VCR Plus sets your VCR and cable box for you, so you'll never have to miss your favorite shows. This Father's Day, get data VCR Plus. Bag the tie.
It happens every time you go to a party. You meet 12 people, thanks, in about 3 minutes, and a second later, you can't remember anybody's name. You think it's because you have a bad memory. Forget it.
What is your name, sir? Harnager. H-A-R-N. What is your last name? Now, if that isn't Bagaratti, B-A-G-A-R-A-T-I.
This man calls himself the world's leading memory expert. His name is Harry Lorraine.
And you are Mr.? Corden. McDonough? Mr. Nelson, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Help me out with the few people I met. Just rise at your seats for a moment. Let me see who I met. Oh, boy. So what I'll do is call your name and point to you at the same time, and then you can sit down. Like Mr. Nelson, was it, that came in? Yeah, you can sit down, Mr. Nelson, Miss Murphy, Mr. Herbison, Mr. McDonough, Miss Prather, Mr. Richardson, Mr. Corden, Mr. and Mrs. Dean.
Believe it or not, Harry Lorraine insists that his memory is no better than yours. He just has a system.
Mr. Spelling, Mr. Began, Mr. Copeland.
A system he teaches in seminars around the country, to corporate executives, to movie stars, and to just regular people with all their regular memory problems.
You are Mr. Bagaratti, are you not? Good, thank you. I teach people how to pay attention. Thank you. Without paying attention, everything that comes before is meaningless. This is the rule. In order to remember any new thing, it must be associated in some ridiculous way to something you already know and or remember.
So to remember a list of objects, for example, Harry teaches you to create a memorable picture in your mind, linking one item to the next.
Visualize a large knife in your hand. Can you do that? With that knife, you are destroying or cutting a very expensive typewriter in half. Can you visualize that? But I mean, really visualize it, Bernie. You're cutting that typewriter. You're ruining an expensive typewriter. Now, I want you to see yourself wearing typewriters on your feet instead of shoes. That's a silly, impossible thing, but try to see that picture. You're wearing typewriters instead of shoes. Now, I want you to see yourself, or somebody else, wearing a shoe over each eye instead of eyeglasses. you're actually seeing through those shoes. They're working like eyeglasses. Try to visualize that picture. You know who else is wearing eyeglasses? A dog. Now, that's not impossible, but it's kind of improbable. Visualize a dog wearing a large pair of eyeglasses. That's silly. The dog can't drive, but he's driving a car. The dog is driving a car, and he can't drive, so it hits a barber pole and ruins that barber pole, and a million monkeys fly out of that barber pole. I don't know if you tried to see those pictures, Bernie, if you worked along with me, but I just took something completely out of context to try to prove a point. If I said knife to you right now, what were you destroying with your knife?
Typewriter.
Right, you were destroying a typewriter. Now, you were wearing the typewriters instead of something else. What?
Shoes.
Shoes, of course. Now, you were also wearing those shoes instead of something else over your...
I was wearing the shoes over my eyes.
Right, so that reminds you, obviously, of eyeglasses.
Right.
Now, something else was wearing eyeglasses. What else was wearing eyeglasses? What silly thing that was not impossible?
The dog.
Dog, and that dog was doing something that really is impossible, I guess.
Driving a car.
A car, and that car hit something. What did that car hit?
A barber pole.
And a million what came up?
Monkeys.
My gosh, you're wonderful, Bernie. You just remembered 7 or 8. I didn't count them, things that you could buy at the grocery store. Or 7 appointments that maybe you had to go pick up a knife that was being sharpened. Okay. The same system works with names and faces. All right, what I want to do is tell you approximately how I remember these people's names. This is Dr. Nelson, and I want to remember that. What in the world can you use to remind you of doctor? Only one thing comes to my mind, a stethoscope. Now, the name is Nelson. What comes to mind when you think Nelson? A full Nelson. It's a wrestling hold. That's what I use.
Once you get the system down, Harry says, you can remember anything with it. We asked you to go through this Time magazine.
Yes.
To basically memorize what's in the magazine. Page 46.
Page number 46. Page number 46 is, actually, there are no pictures there. It's all about people getting paid too much money. It's the shareholders strike back is the title, and says executive pay.
All right. Page number 52.
Page number 52. Well, that's interesting. It's a picture on top of the page of Robert Crandall. He's the chairman of American Airlines.
All right. 72.
It's one page of a double-page spread. It's the Pontiac. It's the GTP, the Grand Prix. And well, like I say, it's one page of a double-page.
Well, 2 out of 3 isn't bad.
What do you mean? Oh, you said 72. I'm sorry. Let's do that one again. It's a better page. I thought you said 42. I gave you page 42.
You gave me page 40.
Yeah,
well, let's do it that way.
Yeah, 42 is what I gave you, the Pontiacs. See, I have a great memory, but I don't hear too good.
Now, I have no need to memorize Time magazine.
No, of course not.
So what good does this do me in the real world?
Instead of Time magazine, visualize Gray's Anatomy, which is this thick a medical book. Visualize any pre-med, pre-law, any school book, any textbook. People that use my systems, their SAT scores go up 300, 350 points. That's what's important.
But they're no smarter. They're no more knowledgeable. They just memorize things.
So what? Why do you think it... Did you ever take an intelligence test?
Yeah.
What do you think they're testing? That takes care of that. I think I made the point.
At $70 for a book and audio tapes or $100 for a day-long seminar, is Harry's system worth it? We checked back with a few students several weeks later. 2 minutes ago, I introduced you to the crew.
Right.
You remember?
Yeah.
Dennis O'Keefe.
Hiya.
Sean Holden.
Hiya.
You remember their names?
Nope.
Ian Spelling thought remembering names might help his career in public relations. How's your memory?
It's the same as it was when I took the course.
As far as we're concerned, I think it works, and I think he really may have found the secret to getting a better memory.
David Dean is an actor. You say that this course has helped you memorize lines?
There's no question about it. It has absolutely, positively helped me memorizing lines.
Let me start out with the line and then you finish it. To be...
Or what? Says Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
11,196,730.
You just gave me the population of Texas. The capital is Austin. That's the 41st state listed
You never
there.
forget something? Like you're supposed to meet somebody at 12:45 and it's 12:45 and you're still here and you say, oh.
No.
Never.
Never.
Honest.
It's an occupational hazard.
Really?
If the answer to the question you just asked me was yes, I do forget things, do you think I would admit it to you on television?
Probably not.
Okay.
But what's the answer?
The answer is no. New Jersey. Is that where you're looking? 28 state, capital strength equals 160.
The key to holding on to the past may lie in the future. Scientists armed with computer-enhanced imaging machines are now able to watch your mind at work. researchers are charting which areas of the brain affect memory. And new drugs for restoring lost links to the past will be found someday. But experts say we may have to wait until after the year 2000. I'm Dan Rather. That's 48 hours for this week. Coming up, your late local news. But first, here's a look ahead to our next report.
I was raped 10 years ago. You pushed my head down.
Victim.
God, don't let this happen to me. And that's when he says, shut up.
Violator.
I've raped at least 25 women in my life.
Manhunt.
Can't think of a situation that would be more terrifying for a woman than to wake up with a man with a mask over her bed.
Crime in the dark.
I wanted to hurt them. I wanted them to be degraded. I wanted them to be afraid.
No, please.
2 weeks from tonight at a special time.
What have I done? Help!
Later tonight, take a new look at what you can do to save the environment. Eye on the Earth, a CBS News special. Also later on most of these stations, don't miss CBS News Up to the Minute. Thanks for making CBS America's most watched network. Now get ready for your local news. For a transcript of this program, send $5 to 48 Hours Transcripts, Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039. And to order a VHS cassette of tonight's broadcast, call 1-800-338-4847.
Tommy Lasorda and the L.A. Dodgers take on their old foe, the Cincinnati Reds. Baseball returns to CBS Saturday.
This is CBS.
Coming up, a teenager is shot and local police officers are themselves under investigation in the case. We'll have details and frightening new statistics about what happens when you breathe someone else's cigarette smoke.
Plus, new details on entertainer Ben Vereen and just what happened on the road the night that he was run down. And it's fun and fast, but can be near fatal. We'll tell you what you need to know before you lace up those rollerblades. I'm Ernie Anastas.
And I'm Dana Tyler. Channel 2 News is next.
Here's your advertising idea for Canada Dry Lemon Ginger Ale.
Lemon Man. And he says, I'm less sweet. I'm less sweet. Lemon.
Do you, Lemon, take the less sweet taste of ginger ale?
I do.
I do.
Canada Dry Lemon Ginger Ale is less sweet than most leading soft drinks. What a refreshing idea.
Win a 1992 Mercury Capri convertible. Check your paper or the Canada Dry display at your local Finest for details.
Some small businesses need to be heard around the world. Introducing AT&T Partners in Business International.
To his office.
Death and money. And Trevor's death has certainly cleared the way for the sale of the brewery. But who'll benefit from the takeover? The Radford family, certainly. Farmers. And the new managing director. There were two candidates, Norman Weeks and Victor Priest.
Why would Radford have dated that letter 3 years ago? And why would he have burnt the top copy?
Dad, I'm afraid it's worse than we thought. I think you ought to come over.
No. You handle it. Do whatever you have to do.
And what I ought to do is go to the police.
Yes, I know.
You mean you knew what Trevor was up to?
Yes, Stephen. And I'm sorry you had to find out.